we begin with looking where the assets are. Are they fully in stocks? Are they 80-20 in bonds? Do you have a lot of money in cash reserves or in CDs?
Mhm.
Where are your assets at? How risky are they? That's the first thing that I kind of, start off with.
Okay.
Then after I kind of know that, then I get into debt, right? Okay, well, look, with income coming up, with income being needed, we need to figure out how much income is needed. Okay, so where is the debt? What are your fixed expenses? What are you spending per month? What is your lifestyle? And is that lifestyle going to be the same lifestyle that you want to live when you retire? And that's one thing that I think a lot of people, they tend to have to go home and think about it. After they tell me their answer, they have a different answer the next time they see me. And that's just because you don't look as a retiree, you don't look at what you're going to do. You look at more about the scarcity of doing the retirement. You look at more at why you're nervous to retire instead of what you're going to do. A lot of people aren't looking forward to it, Jim. And that part really annoys me because I think the world today and the corporations today have made it so that now the clients are scared to retire instead of being excited to retire. And I think that that's the bad way to look at it. So I try to make it more of a, hey, look, what are we looking forward to? Right? Let's plan those assets and the income to fund that problem. Right? The problem is we're not going to have the money for when we retire. We don't work anymore. Right? And so no more income coming in. But we want to do blank, blank, blank. So now let's fund that blank, blank, blank. Right? And let's figure out how to make sure that that income stream is going to be a lifetime income stream that you can't outlive. And then we look at growth. And I think it's funny because everyone goes, oh, David, you don't look at growth. No, listen, growth's important. Okay. And I said it, but growth is the last thing that I care about in retirement. Okay. You've grown your entire life. All right. And Warren Buffett says this the best way. Okay. Growth, really, I mean, you talk about compounding interest, is a get rich slowly scheme. Okay. It's a long-term part of your life. Sorry to tell you, when you're in retirement, you're not long-term no more. Right. You're looking at next year taking out income. You're looking at the next 5 years of having income, next 10 years, next 15 years. You're not looking at 40 years down the road to take income in 40 years. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the idea has to change. And I think it's tough for people to realize that because yes, growth's important, but I don't care what anyone says. Mathematically, especially where the market is now, you're not going to be able to predict what you can do in the next 10 years. And I see all these, if a company will make a spreadsheet and the projections and the spreadsheets that say, if we make this much money, this is what all that's bullcrap. All of it is. You're never going to know. You could be back in the 2008 crisis with 2000, the dead decade, we like to call it, from 2000, 2010, where you started at one point and ended at the same point in 10 years. Yeah. I mean, you could be there. That happened in history.
Fortunately, yeah.
So those people aren't going to agree with you when you're like, oh, well, I have had the best 5 years of my life and the stock market's done great. Now I'm going to stay in it. It's like, no, guys, no, that's not how you look at it. Okay. It's done great. So now capitalize off what you can do with it. Mm-hmm. Right. Change it into income and then take the rest and make sure it's still long-term growth. Because yes, long-term growth will always win the stock market, not short-term growth. Okay. So that's kind of my way of looking at it, right? Looking at income, looking at, hey, look, what are we looking at? Let's solve the problem. Now the rest we can grow. And if you want access to it, you can have it. But I think if any of you out there, and I'm sure a lot of you are doing this, are taking regular distributions off your investments, or your advisor has you asking for money, or your advisor is just giving you $3,000 to $4,000 a year or a month out of your investments, you're doing it all wrong. Hear me again. If you have your advisor just giving you money out of your investments until you die, you got to reassess your goals because that's not the way to do it. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I think that I think the advisor's fault was they didn't assess your goals first. Take care of your income needs, which is obviously you're taking money out. So you're needing income. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what the other part about it is if you just want growth and you don't want to touch it, That's totally fine. We can do that too. I love a stock market, but plan to not touch it. Right. I mean, I tell every client that, look, you want aggressive. That's the point of the stock market.
Yeah.
Right. That's the point of the market. The point of the market is not for, little bitsy 3-4% here and there. No, the point of the market is to grow compounded, and I tell everyone that. So I think that, with risk, you have to have some type of reward. If you're not going to give me any risk, I'll just go to get a CD for 4%.
Sure.
Right. I mean, shoot, why not? It's the same thing. And now I have no risk and I'm, why not?
Yeah.
I'm just going to get a guaranteed interest rate.
One of the talking about here in our final segment of today's show, the 5 steps you should take if you're about a year away from retirement. And one of those steps actually was the final step, number 5, give your spending plan one last stress test. If you're talking with a client, and again, they're 1 year out from retirement, what do you recommend as a stress test for their retirement so they don't run out of money?
I would say, see, I don't like stress tests because I'm a big fan of not having to deal with the stress. So I like to go above the limit of what they think that they need. Right. I think I like to take care of income and make sure it's taken care of. I don't like to be $1,000 off a month or $500 off a month. I want them to be comfortable with retirement, to know that they can spend it, and to know that, if they don't spend it, we can reinvest it. So I think that taking care of the income first, more than enough income, maximizing your income with Social Security, as well as investments transitioning into distributions, are the most important thing for any client out there. And that's the big part of retirement.